I pushed the button. We are recording. There's no pre-show. If
No.
we did this live, you would just see us, warts and all, starting off. Brandon Chalmers,
Sir.
It's been a year since I've seen you last. Jesus fucking Christ.
It feels like it. It's been the week that's been the year.
Yeah. We have a special episode tonight. We are only going to talk about one thing. No, we're not going to be talking about the president and all that bullshit, which you would think we would be doing because of last week's episode. But today is, what the fuck day is today? Today is October 6th.
When we are recording this, it is October 6th.
When we are recording this, it is October 6th. We learned today that Eddie Van Halen has passed away.
Is hopefully not actually running with the devil.
Yeah. At age 65, fought with cancer. I know people don't like it when you say that, you know, you're fighting with cancer or that you've lost your battle with cancer. It's a terrible way to describe, you know, how you.
What is the best way to describe that then?
I'm not sure, but
okay.
Cancer. He died due to cancer.
Right.
And so we are just going to talk about Van Halen today. It's because I don't want to talk about anything else.
Okay.
Everything else makes me sad.
All right.
We did dinner. Right. We played Van Halen for dinner. Introduced people to some of the jams. You, Brandon Chalmers, when we were on the road doing setup for shows, we would play Panama.
Yeah.
On repeat.
Panama is still my ringtone and has been my ringtone since 2009.
Oh, wow.
So if I happen to have my phone off of silent, which is a rarity, and the phone rings and you hear Panama, I am receiving a phone call. And I will probably never change it because that song is a banger unless I can manage to get the double banger from the Twister soundtrack of Humans Being. Because if I can get that, that is the true jam. But yeah, so
all right, so
are we digging into it? Is that what we're doing?
Let's just get into it. Your first experience with Van Halen.
Hang on. Whoa, time out.
Yeah.
We are still professionals.
No. Today is a very special episode. We're not doing
we're not doing an open?
No, we're just going into
it. We're not doing an open.
We're doing it.
We're not going to mention that we're part of the Hard Knock Media Podcasting Network.
Eddie Van Halen deserves a full-fledged episode. No, it's all Eddie all the time. All Eddie all the time. And then next week we'll do the regular shit. But today, it is important enough. You're a guitar guy. Okay. I'm a guitar guy.
Yeah, no.
With that,
you are right. I feel uncomfortable about this, so I'm gonna say it up front. I apologize, boss. I tried. All right, now that we got that out of the way,
we're going right into it.
Fair enough.
Do you remember your first Eddie, like Van Halen song? Do you remember do you remember the first time you heard them? Do you remember?
Oh, no, honestly, because the reality is that when I was growing up with music, it was a lot of classic rock. Because, you know, I grew up a young white kid when my dad's an older white guy, and, you know, when he's single dad, and basically this is what he did. And to give you a bit of backstory, my dad always had the feeling that he was part of the music industry because he used to book large multi-band shows at local venues. So he was booking bands that were opening up for bands like the Doobie Brothers and stuff like that. So he was a solid step below the big national touring acts of the 70s and early 80s. But at the same time, dude knew some people. So he always seemed to feel a real connection with a lot of that stuff. Now, on the inverse of that, he was also a real prog rock fan. And I'm talking about the old school shit. Right. But he was into it back before it was really prog rock. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to be like, okay, settle down. If Brian Prindeville ever happens to hear this, he will have words for me.
Oh man.
Now, with that said, my dad was a big fan. Like I remember one of the, like, if we would, let's say, go down to Ocean City, right? You're in the car 3+ hours. Right. Yeah. Danny Ocean. There would be a couple albums that we were able to play, and that was it. There was no other negotiation that was going on. Right. So we had Pink Floyd, and usually it was the Division Bell for some reason, because I think he was really, really into that one. That one was super big in the 90s. Mm-hmm. There was Rush 2112. There was The Best of the Moody Blues. And there was AC/DC's Live from Donington. That was like a 2-discer, nice. Which is what I ended up loving, which is why AC/DC is one of my favorite bands growing up. But
hell yeah.
In the inverse of that, when we would end up putting on other things, especially his friends, because every time we would go to Ocean City, it would be a big, like, not family vacation, but like friend family. Yeah. He had a bunch of friends of his that he grew up with in high school and still were friends with well into his, 30s and 40s, what have you. So we would all go down to the beach during the same week. All of his friends had kids. They were all slightly older than me, but they were all very kind. Let me hang out with them. So like we go hit the boardwalk. It's me being like 13, hanging out with a bunch of 16-year-olds and, feeling like, oh yeah, it's feeling like I'm super cool.
I'm the boss.
Right. But in turn, they would end up playing a ton of classic rock. So we'd end up coming back from walking on the boardwalk, and the entire group of, like, at that time, I think early 40 somethings were just shithoused, just straight shithoused. Because that's what you did down the beach. Like, you ate crabs and you didn't drive anywhere. So like nobody was like getting into any serious trouble, but people were definitely getting loud, telling unnecessary stories about each other. And what I found out in the inverse is there was also apparently a lot of weed going on and a little bit of coke. But what I remember is mostly the alcohol. But along with the alcohol came the sing-alongs, and in turn, the love for, and was a birthday gift. I remember my first Van Halen album. Was The Best of Van Halen, the first one.
Oh, wow.
Was purchased for me by my dad's, like one of my dad's closest friends, because the statement was, you need to round out your rock music, because I was listening to nothing but Metallica, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
Right, because like my first 2 album purchases at the same time, which is probably a good and bad sign about my youth. I purchased the D2, the Mighty Ducks soundtrack, and the Metallica Black Album in the same purchase.
Nice. That Sam Goody click was like...
right. The guy at Circuit City was very confused. Because at the time, I didn't understand who Gary Glitter was. All I knew is that was a jam during Mighty Ducks. And if it's good enough for Keenan, it's good enough for me. I was full on Team Knuckle Puck. Like, I'm here for this. Like, the Bash Brothers were my guys.
Yeah.
So to this day, I will genuinely buy a Bash Brothers fucking Mighty Ducks jersey if I can find someone else to dress up along with me. Like, I still have yet to find someone else who was willing to match my Bash Brother Halloween thing. Obviously,
I'll do it. I don't give a fuck. I haven't watched it. Yeah, I've never seen it, so but I'll do it. I don't care.
You should probably watch it just
as long as the characters aren't saying anything racist or horrible. I'll dress up.
I don't know. I haven't seen it since I was a child. Like, I'd like to believe it's not. Yeah, so I'm saying this knowing that, again, I mentioned I didn't understand Gary Glitter. So please understand that at the time, my knowledge about this stuff was minimal at best.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to, I'm curious now. I swear that album had both Gary Glitter and Whoop There It Is all on the same album. So...
Yeah, that sounds like hockey arena stuff.
Right. Oh, it's full on hockey arena stuff. Let me see. I'm searching Apple Music right now. The Mighty Ducks. Let's see. Yada 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 yada. God damn, Disney just locking that shit down.
Oh
apparently.
Yeah, they don't let you get any. No, of that stuff.
All right. I'll have to Google that in the meantime. But yeah. So anyway, maybe the birthday, maybe like 2 years after. So I think I was maybe like 13 when I got my first like Van Halen album. And basically my dad's friend was like, hey, it's time to start rounding out your music. And the way he was rounding out my music was by getting me off of Metallica and onto Van Halen, which feels like an adjacent move in the grand scheme of things. But at the time, I was like, fuck do I want all this hair metal for?
Because it's awesome.
Well, right, because you got to understand, at the time, I didn't understand the difference in between basically like Van Halen, ZZ Top, and Winger. I didn't get it. Like,
yeah.
Right. So like I was just like, okay, yeah, cool, right, whatever. So like ZZ Top, I could at least tell the difference. They had cool cars, they had the spinning guitars, they had the long beards.
Mhm.
But like if you sat, let's say, Eddie Van Halen and Kip Winger next to each other, I'd be like, what band are they in? And you'd be like, stop it. Don't do
Get the
that.
fuck out of this dojo.
Right, right. And rightfully so. Somebody should have fucking straight Cobra Kai'd my ass. Like, no way around it. But yeah, so that was definitely my first experience with it. And then as I got older, Van Halen equally felt more epic and less attainable. Like the more I played guitar, the more I was like, cool, that dude is a different animal.
Yeah.
Like full on different species, different understanding of how any of that works. And like I found over time, I still weirdly like I should be comparing Van Halen to like Steve Vai, and I don't, because frankly, Van Halen figured out how to make mainstream success really happen. And as far as like a technical capability, I almost wonder if Vai's a more accomplished guitarist, but
for sure, like Steve Vai doesn't exist without Van Halen. Like all of those virtuosos, Joe Satriani, Yngwie Malmsteen, God, I forgot the who plays that song. For none of those guys are anywhere without Eddie. Like Eddie revolutionized the way people approach the guitar, what they can do with the guitar. Like, I mean, I'm sure those guys would have figured some shit out, but I think Eddie was there first and made it possible for all of these other guys to like go wild and stuff. So I don't know. My first, so Jump came out along the same time as the Pointer Sisters Jump. And so like both of those songs, I had both of those songs on the radio in my ear, and I was like, boy, I love this one, but I also love this one. I don't know what's going on. But I think the first time I actually heard Eddie play was in Beat It, Michael Jackson's Beat It, that guitar solo.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And I had no idea who the fuck that was until years and years and years later. And I started playing guitar myself. I was like, what? Who did that solo? It was fucking Eddie.
Well, of course it was.
And he didn't show up. He didn't show up in the music video because he was like, nah, I don't know what y'all doing down there with hanging out with gangs and stuff. But I had no idea that he recorded.
So fucking silly. Like it's so silly. Like genuinely.
But he did that in one take, Brandon Chalmers.
Well,
one take, Eddie Van Halen. Michael brings over the track and says, "Can you do something with this?" He's like, "Oh yeah."
Right. But let's be clear here. That wasn't exactly a technically very difficult solo for him.
No, not for him.
Because you got to figure, like, if you break out the album that I am pretty sure most people have heard and assume it's all just one thing is the same album that I had, Van Halen's Greatest Hits. Yeah. And if Eruption is the first thing you hear Eddie be able to do, everything else just feels kind of simple.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Eruption is so good.
Right. It's super good. By the way, wanted to quick aside. So I pulled up the D2 The Mighty Ducks soundtrack.
Yeah.
So We Will Rock You by Queen.
Nice.
You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet by the Poor Boys.
Nice.
Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter.
Nice.
Mr. Big Stuff by Martha Wash.
Hell yeah.
The symphony doing the Mighty Ducks thing. Whoop, there it is by Tag Team. Wild Thing by the Trogs. A song about Zamboni. We Are the Champions by Queen. And then whatever the fuck Rock the Pond is.
Don't know what that one is.
Right, but I definitely remember getting like that big Queen, like it basically those two songs back to back were mandatory listening. If you played indoor soccer,
oh wow,
these were the things that got played, which is also I think my first exposure to Gary Glitter and the rest of the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because I definitely got forced to play indoor soccer and they would blast us over the speakers while the rest of us tried to chase a ball around, not realizing what the hell we were supposed to be doing.
Yeah. My first two album purchases were Metallica's Black Album and Predator by Ice Cube.
See, now I find it very interesting. You and I got one of them exactly the same. So we both have like that starting point, that thing that keeps us together.
Yeah.
And then you and I take very different.
Yeah. So Brandon, what is your favorite Halen track?
Favorite Halen track? Hang on.
Well, before you get into that, why was Panama your setup song of choice? Because we played that for years on the road. We went out to California.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just think it's a jam, and reasonably, as silly as it sounds, if I'm not mistaken, and let me double check this to make sure. I swear to God that came from a dumb fuck Drew Carey show bit. Hang on. Okay. Drew Carey show Panama. Let me see here. Okay. So yada, 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 yada. A house divided. Let me see if I can find it. So basically, from what I remember, it was basically like let me see. A local corporation wants to buy all the houses in Drew's neighborhood to make way for a mall on the lot. So eminent domain. Drew isn't pleased, but promises to think it over. While at work, Drew finds out the company he works for is behind the mall construction plot, and his boss convinces him to sell. He agrees to have Drew's house moved to take the prime lakefront property. However, Drew arrives home to find his friends finds his house has literally been sawed in half. And to my understanding, he spends the rest of the episode playing Panama as loud as possible to disrupt everyone in a point of protest.
Why Panama though? Because I feel like construction workers are like demolition people.
I'm not really.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I'm not really clear what is the deal with this.
I think blasting Barney would turn people off way more than fucking Halen.
I'm not really clear about all of the details of it, but I remember it being kind of a joke, and I swear this started from like me and our fight host Marty Day joking around about this, and because I at the time had basically full reign of what we played as far as music. Like if you were listening to the soundtrack, other than the current, the actual show run stuff that Marty curated a lot of.
Yeah.
If it was anything else, I was in charge. Yeah. So in turn, and I think I still have the set list. Let me see here. Cause I remember being a pretty straightforward one. So it's, Panama by Van Halen, Humans Being by Van Halen. Like I said, probably those two are probably some of my favorite tracks. Yeah. Give Me Some Lovin' by Spencer Davis Group, because that wall of sound. Hocus Pocus by Focus, because nothing gets people going more than that. Yeah. And the one that I remember you and I leading quite a few sing-alongs, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh yeah.
Because getting a full room of people to do a sing-along to Bohemian Rhapsody might be one of my favorite things, and like one of my favorite memories is you doing that exact thing and then getting near the headbanging part and you whipping off your like hairband thing, like what you're wearing now.
Yeah.
And shouting at everybody, "You better get the fuck up! You better get the fuck up!" And watching easily 600 people all headbanging at the same time. I mean, like, you know what? I don't know if we're going to ever do anything really monumental with our lives, but this feels real close.
We can hype a crowd up, man. We can hype a crowd.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like if you need people to stand up, or like if you have a corporate event or some boring shit and you need people to get excited, you hire me and Brandon Chalmers. We will set up your shit for you. We will hype up that crowd so they'll be warm as fuck when you get on. It'll be an explosion of goodness. Like if you want to get brought on to a show, doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if you're like going over corporate numbers, or if like you're debuting some baby toys, or like the DNC. We will hype you up, motherfucker. Like we can bring it, and we will bring Halen with us, but we will bring it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like I guess Panama would be my biggest go-to, so I guess it would be my favorite Halen song. Mm-hmm. I'm more apt to say Ice Cream Man.
Oh yeah,
just because it's unnecessarily fun. Right? Yeah, because it starts very slow and like Dave kind of playing around, but like they also do a lot of fun. They do a version of Happy Trails that was fucking great on the B-side of Diver Down that I love. Like there's a lot of little hidden tracks that I love for them, but I realize that like I think I end up liking Hagar more than I do. And
I hate that. Yeah.
I hate that too, especially given what a fucking douchebag he ended up turning out to be.
Yeah.
But right now is a goddamn jam. Like, here's a sign of a good song.
Hey.
You left the Crystal Pepsi commercial play.
Yeah.
Because when Crystal Pepsi came out, you were like, what the fuck is this? And I have just vivid memories of that chorus blasting over Crystal Pepsi, just percolating inside of a glass. And you're like, what is this bullshit? This song's a fucking banger, though.
Yeah. Speaking of Hagar songs, so during the DNC when Carrie was making a run for it,
yes,
the last speech before, like the big speech before, like the last leg of the campaign, they played Higher, and for some reason it hit me. It just like I was like, man, I hope so, because like that the like going higher and higher, and Hagar, Sammy blowing that shit out, and I'm like, fuck, I like a Sammy song. But for whatever reason, like during that convention, hearing that song, hoping against all hope that we would get through it, and then he botched, and then he fucking lost a lot. But for whatever reason, during the convention when it was over and they started playing that song, I was just like, it got me, and I was tearing up, and I was like, why am I tearing up for this bland ass motherfucking candidate that nobody really likes, that we're running anyway? Why am I tearing up before it? But like higher hit me, like I don't know why, but that moment hit me, and I was like, I'm so hopeful. He sucks real bad. He can't speak English real good, but motherfucker, we're gonna make it. And we didn't, but that song is stuck with me. Like when you need some like uplifting cinematic kind of thing to just kind of like.
I think it's because Hagar's got that voice.
Yeah.
And like I literally just typed in like top Van Hagar just to see what the difference is, and like disappointingly Cabo Wabo shows up in the top 10, which is not a good start.
No.
Let's see. Top of the World. Top of the World's good. Pound Cake's not bad. Best of Both Worlds is pretty good. Why Can't This Be Love is fucking great. That like weird vocalizer, because I swear he uses the same I can't remember. No, I mean for the beginning, he uses the same. Yeah, the talk box. Right, yeah. The same thing as that fucking Bon Jovi Living on a Prayer shit. Right, yeah, right. Yeah, so far we've managed to have, let's see, Frampton, Bon Jovi, and Van Halen managed to pull that off. No one else has been able to make that rad-ass toy actually functional. Well, and it took Van Halen that long to pull it off.
There was a guy on YouTube who did a version of Soulja Boy with a talk box that is like when Soulja Boy first came out, he did a cover of that song. That shit is a banger. But Zap, the band Zap, like they like So Rough, So Tough. They were able to use the talk box. But that's like R&B and shit, which you may not have been listening to.
No, unfortunately, no.
But yeah,
this is definitely a blinding realization of the holes in my music interest, in my background.
So tough.
It's one of those, like, I've had to learn over time to just, no, I don't know what this is. I'm super fucking open to it. I don't know what this is. Like, you have to embrace it at a certain point. It's just so much stuff out there.
Yeah. Did you ever want to like learn how to do all that virtuoso shit, like the tapping and the dive bombing with the whammy bars and stuff?
No, I was never a big whammy bar guy. I know how to tap. Like, I actually do have, right, but like the reality is my favorite guitarist ever is Malcolm Young.
Oh, okay.
And the thing is, I've always been a fan of the guys who are the clutch guys. Yeah, I mean, I don't need the big solo. I like the idea, like the idea of hearing Scotty Ian from Anthrax talk about Malcolm when he passed, and it was like, the reason he loved him so much is he played his guitar like a percussion instrument.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, like every single note, every chord was chunky. You could set it, like you could drop the drums out of it.
Yeah.
And it's such a strong fucking sound.
Yeah.
So it made a lot of sense to me, is like, yeah, no, I like that presence without necessarily having to be all showboaty. So it's like, and
Tony Iommi has that too. Like that very straightforward, like,
yeah. But like, I think that was just based on, you know, when I was growing up with friends, I had a buddy of mine who was super big into Van Halen and Hendrix and Vi and all them. And dude was technically incredibly capable. Like Stevie Ray Vaughan was one of his favorites, and he could do, you know, like the Mary Had a Little Lamb stuff and everything else, like, and could play along with the Austin City Limits version and was real fucking good. And I think because of that, I ended up falling into a more supportive role, but really enjoying it quite a bit, as being like, no, this is good. I like this. Yeah. Like, I think it's what draws me to actually playing drums, is just, I like the idea of
you're the bass.
Being that, I like being that backbone. Just like, no, rock on. Go ahead. Do your thing. Yeah.
You're going to throw down your bubble, get that rhythm down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I have always been a defensive player. That is how I work.
Nice. If God, I would have gone to Guitar Center to find a Music Man Wolfgang and just spend hours and hours just trying to blow it up and like light the monitors on fire. But he was one of the, I don't know if he was like, he was probably not the first guy, but he was one of the guys who made it popular to kind of Frankenstein your guitar, like get parts that you liked from other strats and then put them together and Frankenstein them together and like put in your own pickups and keep fucking with it and fiddling with it and painted all sorts of shit like that.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right there. I think as far as like the owning your instrument and also making your instrument really a thing. Yeah. Because really the only other guitarist that I could think of at that time who had really done anything nearly the same, like with any sort of real impact, like there were guys who had like the different facing guitars or whatever it is, would be like Jimmy Page doing the double neck.
Yeah. Jimmy Page. Because
I'm having trouble thinking of like any other guitarist that really had like a signature style guitar. Like Hendrix had that Strat that he carried around all the time, but it wasn't really.
Brian May made his own guitar. So like his guitar through a AC30, fucking butter.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Hendrix.
That guy's always been so. Yeah. Angus
Hendrix
Young with the SG.
Yeah. Hendrix would just grab a Strat if he had a couple that he liked, but like he would go to the store, pick up a Strat, string it backwards, and then like
and then just start playing it because the guy was a maniac. But yeah, like I was gonna say, there's only a couple guys who really like made their guitar part of their look and part of what they did.
Yeah, and that striped the stripe paint job with all the lines across it and stuff. The Wolfgang, his signature Music Man guitar. I think there've been like a few different manufacturers of the Wolfgang. I think Music Man was the first one. But it had that like really sculpted weird, for the sound that he got out of it's a very conservative looking guitar. Like it doesn't have the horns that the Strat does. It doesn't have the edges of a V. It doesn't have like the off angle like an Explorer. It's just kind of like, it doesn't look as flashy as he plays it. And I guess maybe that's the point, but like,
yeah, I don't know. Like I there's something about the idea of of a turned down version of Van Halen. Like when I think of Van Halen, they're kind of boring looking guys. Like other than David Lee Roth, they're not visually striking. Like they're not Kiss.
Yeah.
But like that's the reality though, is like if you heard Van Halen's music, you would expect that to come out of something like Kiss. Yeah. Something that is much bigger than itself. You know what I mean? Yeah. You hear that sort of thing. And like, you got a bit of that from the Jump video, but that's more just Dave being in love with Dave. So like Eddie's the only really bit of something up there. And I'm trying to remember their bass player's name, Michael Anthony, I think.
I'm very sad to admit that I know Eddie and I know the front man.
Okay, so the drummer's Alex.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, like it was one of those things where the rest of the guys seem very kind of like, meh.
They have big hair, but like they don't light shit on fire. Like Eddie's not there smashing his guitar every night. They're not kicking shit over and blowing stuff up.
Right. But I think the reality is because like really what Eddie was in a way was he was Geddy Lee with an edge. Like it's the difference in between Canadian Eddie is Geddy and American Eddie is Eddie. Like that is genuinely different, right? Because like they're both guitar virtuosos.
Yeah.
They both write great music.
Yeah.
They both can play the keys. They both have the ability to wear multiple hats at the same time.
Yeah.
They cobble the band together. They put together a wall of sound with way less people than you'd ever imagine there possibly could be.
Yeah.
Like, so it's a weird sort of comparison, obviously, because, Alex Lifeson from Rush is the guitar player, Geddy is the bassist, and fucking Alex Lifeson is wild. Genuinely quit yourself to go back and listen to Rush. But tonight is not about Rush.
Tonight is not about Rush. But like even Steve, like when Steve Vai goes on stage, it's a show. Like that motherfucker does crazy shit. Like he has weird ass costumes. He came out with like lights all over his shit one time. He still does all of that fucking shit that he did when he was like in the hair bands.
Right.
And Eddie's never really done that. Like
because he doesn't have to. This is going to be me shitting on some people here, but like bear with me. I know you're a Kiss fan, so I'm going to tread lightly about this one.
I am a Kiss fan, but I do not hold them in high regard. So if you tell me that they like Ace cannot play, I will agree with you.
No. Hang on. Whoa. Time out. I may not be the biggest fan of Kiss, but they're a perfectly fine band of the era. Like I have no issue with them being like 70s arena rock. They absolutely are. They have their niche.
Yeah.
But they would not have made it if they looked like Van Halen. For sure. Because everyone remembers Kiss in their makeup. Nobody remembers Kiss in the 90s when they took the makeup off. And like, you do. You remember how creepy it was when they took the makeup off and then they got real close and then they sang Lick It Up.
Yeah.
Because it's the
or
last
God
thing,
gave
like,
rock and roll to you on the
like I don't know who sat down Paul Stanley and was like, Paul, baby, hey, so look. Let's cut the makeup off, right? You got this new track, Lick It Up. The kids are going to love it. The ladies are going to swoon. It's time you showed them what's behind that makeup, right? The sort of thing that only a few select ladies get to know about, huh, Gene? We're going to show it to everybody, huh?
Jesus Christ. Yeah, they should have put more makeup on. They should have put fucking face masks on.
They should have immediately, they should have been Guar.
They should have been Guar.
Just taken Guar's outfit because I swear Guar was around at the time.
Yeah, God
and
damn.
Just stolen the entirety of Guar's gimmick and then went and did that album. And people were like, "Wow, Kiss is really getting out there."
They should have been in Jaegers. They're just like
right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, and it's literally just Gene dressed as like Odorous. Just licking up random things that he shouldn't be.
Yeah. You're right.
Detergent, ants, all sorts of shit. Just like it's just about Gene just exploring the world with his tongue like some sort of weird bass playing anteater.
You're fucking right. Like if Kiss came out with Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day looking like Van Halen,
that would have made it.
I don't know if it would have been as big as it was though.
I don't think it would have been as big as it was, but I think it genuinely would have made it. It would have been and also ran. Like it would have been they'd have had two. They would have had that one hit. They would have had that one hit, and then the secondary ones where everyone was like, "Yeah, I mean it's good, but it's not Rock and Roll All Night."
Beth maybe.
Yeah. But like Detroit Rock City, maybe they would have been able to pull off.
Yeah.
But yeah, like without the big anthem ones.
Love Gun. No one gives a shit about Love Gun.
No, absolutely not. No, but But I think that's the beautiful part, and that's really the sign of how good Eddie was. Is he didn't really have to go too deep into it. He literally would spend like what he had the video where like they zoomed in on him playing the keyboards.
Yeah,
you're like, I guess that's cool. Like I mean, it looks kind of cool. They put a fisheye on it, like.
Oh, and he used the fucking power drill in a couple of songs, but like he would use the power drill by the pickups. The early stories about when they started out and Eddie started to figure that shit out, when he would like do his solos and turn his back to the audience. I found that shit fascinating because he didn't want people to like figure out the tapping and stuff.
Yeah. Well, right. I mean, well, that's the same sort of shit that what's his face, the guitarist from Aerosmith pulls that shit still.
Oh, why? Because he's not. I mean.
Because he's a self-important douchebag.
He's there, but he ain't no Eddie Van Halen, man.
No, he's not. No, but he's convinced that Aerosmith has a unique sound. And
I mean, that's great, but that's not Widdly.
I was gonna say, not everyone can perform "Love in an Elevator." Okay, like not. Yeah, so like the internet hasn't been able to figure that shit out. Anyway. Yeah. But I think that's the reality, is like he did it initially for effect, in the same way that like Hendrix lit the guitar on fire and used the Echoplex to act like he was having the demonic rising out of that thing.
Yeah.
Eddie turned his back to basically have people be like, what the fuck was that? And then
magic
the reveal, right. And then the reveal is like, holy shit. And I think once he realized that his peers couldn't keep up, it was like,
fuck it.
Oh, all right. So none of y'all can do. All right. Well, no. I fuck it. I'll just stand in front of the audience then. Fucking watch it.
He was so good. He was so good that he would even hold master classes on that shit. Like when you could like, pay guitar magazine, like those VHS tapes of how to do like the Eddie Van Halen method. He had that shit out. He would tab his shit so you could have the tablature to figure that shit out. It didn't happen. Like you could tell someone faking the funk on an Eddie Van Halen. Like, you could just tell it's not as tight, not as good, not as creative.
No, absolutely not. No, I mean, and people have gotten a lot better about it now because we have a lot more understanding, and people are just practicing just way
too much.
Yeah, like I'm sure there is easily 1,000 people on YouTube right now who can hit Eruption note for note without missing a fucking beat, and I'm sure absolutely every one of them is doing a like live version of that right now on Twitch.
Yeah.
So like, I'm sure you're not, you're not going to miss out on having an opportunity to see people doing what he did, but realizing that that's a generation of guitar players.
Yeah.
If I had to take a guess, large majority of them look a bit like me. Probably, I'm going to guess 41. But if I had to take a guess on where they are in the
also in the 80s, I mean, the guitarists weren't practicing. They were just trying to make a lot of money and like shit the shit out and get deals and stuff. So like no one was at home in college, like with nothing to do and just whittling.
I don't know. I feel like that's probably what separated some of the better players from some of the other ones. Cause I think if you ask fucking like, I don't know, Mick Mars from Motley Crue, whether or not he was practicing all the time, you'd be like, yeah, I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it all depended on who you were, because I got to believe that like the bands who really made it, like if you ask Slash, hey, did you spend more time fucking off or more time playing music? He'd be like, I fucking played a ton.
Yeah.
Because like I have to believe that sort of thing, because I couldn't imagine being 19 trying to sell that top hat without a record deal.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, so what is going to be, do you think, well, first of all, guitar has not come back. Like people aren't playing guitar these days. You don't hear it a lot on the radio these days. It's not like a thing.
I mean, I think that stuff is all cyclical in that sense. And to be honest with you, if you listen to country music, you would end up hearing a lot more classic rock style or soft rock style things or what have you. And that's where I believe a lot of the guitar virtuosos ended up heading, were into country music. Like if you listen to let's say Brad Paisley, that guy can fucking play. And is what he plays all that interesting to me? No, not really. But as far as if I'm going to respect him the same way I respect Steve Vai, dude's got the fucking game. Like he can go.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised. And if you get more into your obscure metal, like your prog rock sort of
for sure. Yeah.
related stuff, your Baronesses and stuff like that. One that I think you would absolutely love. The band is called Baroness. They have a new guitar player that started playing with them like in the last 2 years. Her name is Gina Gleason. I've
heard of her.
Yes, you have. And you know why? Because she was the main guitar player and the main focus for the Cirque du Soleil Michael Jackson show.
Oh, okay.
So she would do all the costume changes and play all of the things. So basically like the entire storyline that went around it that focused all the Michael Jackson music on like the space traveler and everything. She was the one who played that.
Wow.
So she would get in full garb and then be part of the Cirque du Soleil stuff. So people dressed up as like zebras on fire covered in Vaseline were doing like corkscrew spins, passes. She's like full on Van Halen shredding.
Oh man.
And easily 8-inch fucking platforms and shit like that.
So
with
good.
Weird space garb and makeup and the hair's all over the place. Well, now she's playing in a rad ass metal band and has been doing a bunch of stuff. Right now, probably the best way you can catch her, the 2 Minutes to Late Night crew have been doing a lot of things, and she's been on there as well.
I'll check that shit out.
Super fun and really just a great person. And also
I think that's where I've heard of her before because I watch them every once in a while.
Probably is. Yeah. And the other plus side is it's starting to normalize women being badass shredders in metal. Because metal, I've found from my experience, goes one of two ways. It's super inclusive or misogynistic as fuck. There's zero middle ground.
Yeah. Well, Nita Strauss, she has a signature from Ibanez, and she's the first woman to have a signature series from Ibanez. And it's a fucking glorious guitar. Yeah. Oh my God. The thing.
Yeah, no. But how fucking long did it take?
Way too long.
Anyway, back to Eddie, but realizing that we're going off on these tangents because I realized that a lot of these bands wouldn't be bands without hearing Eddie, without that first album, without basically jamming out to Van Halen, without them, without that first Van Halen album, that self-titled Van Halen album in '78, they wouldn't be able to. I mean, imagine it's '78. You're playing, you're like 19, you feel like you got your shit together, you're doing a bunch of cover songs of a bunch of random things. You're like, cool, man, this is real good. I can totally play a lot of this stuff. And you're doing a lot of things. And then that album comes along and you hear that come out of your fucking speakers.
Yeah.
I'd put my guitar down. I genuinely, I'd put it down and I would have trouble coming back to it because I'd be like, cool. So everyone else suddenly had to get better. It's like he rose the bar for everyone else's playing.
Oh yeah. And we're better for it. Guitarists are better for it. Like the technology is better for it to capture that sound when it was just like whatever crappy tube amp was in the corner and some piece of shit wiring that wasn't quite right, all that stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, and it's funny because I feel like these guitarists come along every couple years where they're these big names that change the way that the sound is done and they force you to kind of play and you realize that every one of them has their own unique sound. It's Angus, it's Page, it's Van Halen. You start to go down the line, you're like, every one of them sounds very uniquely different from each other. And you could even get into the ones who may have a lesser known home name, but a band like Frusciante for Red Hot Chili Peppers. Red Hot Chili Peppers has a super unique sound. Now all their songs sound exactly the same, but when they first came out, you knew that was Chili Peppers. They'd come on, you'd be like, oh shit, is this a new Chili Peppers? Yeah. Because nothing else sounded like Chili Peppers at the time. When Van Halen would come out with a track, you'd be like, oh yeah, no. Because the guitar is so chunky and sharp. And everything's broken into, he was a master of playing with the dead spaces. When you listen to, it's almost the opposite of the wall of sound. Like Give Me Some Lovin' is a wall of sound, and it is a constant building crescendo that is supposed to just blow the speakers down. Right.
Yeah.
And you're not meant to get a moment to be able to catch your breath. Whereas most Van Halen songs, there was this moment where like he would bounce down, and like yeah. Okay, this is super good, and
a little pinch harmonic here and there.
yeah. But like he wasn't afraid to just let an instrument sing.
Yeah,
usually it was his, but
as it should be.
Yeah, okay, all right, fair enough. But
okay,
yeah.
boom, like the bass is not the bass is the flavor, but like.
I have heard the conversations about their bass player not actually being very good. And there's an argument to be had that if Van Halen, like if Eddie's son Wolfgang can go out on tour with them, I swear it's first time at like 14, and play along with everyone else, either Wolfgang, by the way, I don't know if Wolfgang got thick before he played bass or he got thick because he played bass. But I don't know if I've ever seen a thin bass player. Like maybe John Paul Jones, I think, from Zeppelin.
The Primus guy.
Les Claypool. Okay, so we managed to get three.
We got three.
Of all popular bands.
Yeah.
In the entirety of history.
Yeah, Peelander Red too. He was a stick, but like
right. But they replaced him with Peelander Purple.
Yeah,
and Purple ain't a small boy. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So, right.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like every few years, there's a guitarist that kind of leapfrogs everybody. Like Muddy Waters, when he plugged in, he leapfrogged everybody. When Buddy Guy plugged in, he leapfrogged Jimmy, leapfrogged Eddie, leapfrog, and And they changed the way you approach the instrument. They changed the way you look at the instrument.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I just
it's funny because it branched in like multiple directions where you see like these junctions, and then at the same time you're getting Eddie happening, you're getting Stevie Ray Vaughan in the opposite end, and then you're so and then you're getting the crew from like ZZ Top playing, and you're like, okay, dude's got skill in a very different direction, because like he's more honky tonk than let's say a Stevie Ray Vaughan, which is a little more blues. Like it was this kind of, the 80s were definitely the, like, I'd argue maybe like 77 to maybe 94 is where all of
where
that,
the guitars were.
Right,
so good.
Like, it seemed like some sort of arms race where everyone was trying to keep up in very different ways. Yeah. And you basically needed to be able to, and it was bothering Billy Gibson, by the way, is the
Billy Gibson. Yep.
Yeah. But
he plays thin ass strings. Like he came out with a signature series Les Paul, and everyone was expecting it to be like this heavy ass chunky bullshit thing. You pick it up, it is hollowed out, so it's rail thin, and he's playing on eights, the lightest fucking string ever.
Have you seen him? He's like 114 pounds. He's mostly beard.
If you cut the beard off, there's like no face underneath.
There's nothing there. There's nothing there. Genuinely. Like he has genuinely, like, there's nothing there of him. He wears a guitar just to weigh him down.
So he doesn't float off in the breeze when the fans are blowing for the music
this
video.
is why ZZ Top doesn't play outdoor venues. They're like 100%. It's not an acoustics thing. It's a genuine fear of windy days. Like, yeah, 100%.
Well, I hope more guitarists remember Eddie. I'm sure they will. I'm sure people who pick up guitar will go back and hear all the greats and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the plus side about music like Van Halen's is if you are learning guitar, it is a staple. There will be someone there who will sit you down and go, hey, so not for nothing, you should probably hear this. Yeah. I imagine, frankly, I got to believe that those two guys who did the review of, what is it, when they watched Purple Rain for the first time, was it the one that you sent me? The two young kids who watched the reaction video.
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, I have a feeling the internet's about to get inundated with Van Halen reaction videos.
Oh, I hope so. Oh, it was Phil Collins, Air Tonight.
Oh, in the Air Tonight. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I hope so. I hope we get those reaction videos because
I can guarantee
those
you, right?
give me joy.
Right, because well, you got to figure like there's going to be a bunch of people who are going to start talking about that, and if they haven't gotten there yet, they're going to listen to some of that stuff. And I can't tell if it's going to be Eruption. If I had to take a guess, it's probably going to be Right Now.
Yeah, but Eruption is so good. God.
Eruption is so good, but Eruption is very much like I have to put myself in the place of someone who is more into hip hop than rock.
Yeah.
Eruption feels like masturbation.
Well,
like it's
Eruption would be great
capable.
for Eruption would be great to sample from because like all of those squeals and like interstitial notes and stuff, you could like grab a section of it and turn that into a hook and all that kind of stuff.
And from my head, you take Right Now, put a strong backbeat on it, and pipe down a bunch of other shit, and that song is solid. Yeah, it's got chunky guitar, a clean piano, a nice and Alex's drumming in that is almost non-existent. So you can easily just put a stronger beat on it and then just even keel that down.
I really feel like if the music business wasn't so litigious, I feel like Van Halen would have been sampled more because there's a lot of fun sounds that you can just pick out and stick on a record. Like, I don't know. I've been dicking around.
I wonder who's responsible for that.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean,
also,
people need to get paid for sure, but it's also fun to like remix stuff and grab samples and like play with stuff.
Like, unless you got a serious marketing record deal or something like that, some kid on SoundCloud who ain't making a ton of money who wants to sample Van Halen ain't fucking hurting Van Halen.
Yeah,
like they're not.
Yeah.
In the same way that guys playing fucking Top of the World in a nightclub ain't fucking hurting Van Halen. They're just not.
Yeah. And I wish more bigger artists were like that. We're like, yeah, whatever, have fun.
Yeah. No argument there. I mean, you're right. It's how the music industry has changed and how all that stuff works. And I get it. Protect your property and what have you.
I mean, Aerosmith got a rebirth because fucking Run DMC sampled their shit. So
yeah.
And arguably Aerosmith would not be where they are today without Run DMC bringing them back because they were nowhere. They had
gotten stagnant
and they went, and then Run DMC was like, come with us.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I right. A record executive was like, hey, so not for nothing, but I got an idea.
Yeah.
He was listening to Aerosmith and somebody in the next office over had a Run DMC track on. And he was like, and then looked down at his desk and saw a package of Reese's cups and went, I've got it. And with one foul swoop created Linkin Park. Just like that.
Oh no.
Just created Linkin Park.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep. Congratulations. You just made Limp Bizkit. Thanks, Run DMC. Thanks, buddy.
All right. Well, I hope we did Eddie proud. He's brought joy to a lot of us.
Brought us a lot of great moments. Real talk before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
Ask yourself a question, right? Somewhere David Lee Roth has to be buying a lottery ticket, right? There's no way David Lee Roth thought he was going to outlast Eddie.
Yeah.
There's no possible way that he would have thought that.
Yeah. Because David Lee Roth living like a maniac.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And
here's Eddie, dad mode and stuff. And solid dude, not going crazy.
God. You know what's going to be, what is going to be very interesting is how I would love to be a fly on a wall, because in my head, David Lee Roth is not quietly sitting at home, having a drink in memory of his friend. He is fucking crushed. And he is at home right now, slowly strumming a song, just singing to him. In the saddest, most somber way. Yeah. Just missing his friend.
Yeah.
And then and then halfway across the country, looking up at the same star, is the human chode Sammy Hagar doing exactly the same thing, only he doesn't have any real musical talent, so he can't play guitar. So he's forcing his guitar player to play over Zoom and listen to him sing to his late friend.
And his guitar player is like, You motherfucker. Just get a Udemy course, bitch.
Right.
Udemy, Skillshare,
Yeah.
motherfucker. Learn how to play.
You've only
A-chord.
been playing for this long.
A-chord.
Yeah.
A-chord. You don't even have to use the whole guitar. Just use the
Right.
top stringy. One finger. Come on, motherfucker. Yeah.
You know, the second he found out that Eddie Vedder was able to play fucking guitar, he was just texting him photos, be like, hey, any thoughts on this? Hey, curious about this?
I'll get you a baby guitar. I'll get you a ukulele. Fuck you. It's only got 4 strings and they're really tiny and they don't go up and down and they're made of plastic so they won't bite your precious little baby hands. Dumb bitch.
He's too busy making tequila, man.
You can tell we have a lot of love for one
making tequila and ignoring the virus. Just making tequila and ignoring the virus.
Yeah, that bitch. Anyway, Eddie, we love you. Thank you for turning the guitar into this monster. Just fucking thank you, man.
Thank you for being the soundtrack that started off a lot of really good memories for me. And my God, what was it? 9 years in Art Fight. Van Halen started damn near every night that I stepped on stage.
Yep.
And that sort of consistency of knowing that I got to hear those notes. Right. Yeah. And got to sing along with that and got to experience something that he did and made that part of my tradition to hit the stage is something I will never forget. And I am forever grateful and in your debt for doing such a rad thing. So
that lovely pick scrape, those perfect little harmonics, man.
The ability with my friends up on stage while everyone else is shuffling along to just as we're setting up boards and everything else, like every one of us off in the distance. Yes. I just poorly, as the more times you shout at Panama, the worse you got about.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I think I stopped saying Panama and it was just just super B word fat. Just
I want all that.
Yeah, I ended up sounding like Orson Welles doing karaoke night is really what it ended up sounding like.
Yeah. Man, all right, Brandon.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna close it out.
Yep.
This is that's what we got this week.
Yep.
Next week we'll return to our regular bullshit.
Yeah. Do yourself a favor, by the way. If you've never, that's not true. I assume everyone here has heard of Van Halen songs.
I hope so.
I would really hope that this week at some point along the way, I know it's going to be cheesy and everything else like that, in your streaming service, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, what have you.
Tidal.
At the very least, like either search like top 10, 15 tracks or just bring up that best of album and put that bad boy on. And I can almost guess that, let's say you listen to 10 tracks, 6 of them are going to be so good that you go, yeah, I like this a lot.
Yeah.
And I'd be willing to bet at least 3 of them you'll add to your own personal list of songs.
And I don't know if this is true of all the other services, but if you go into like single mode on Spotify, they've integrated some songs with Music Genius. So like as the songs play, you'll get the lyrics, but you'll also get a story about the song, how they came up with it, and like how it charted, and if there were any controversies about it and that kind of thing. So I've been really loving that on Spotify single mode. There's a bunch of fun factoids about all of the Van Halen songs and stuff like that. Yep. So check it out. It's going to be a long week.
Yeah, it is. So.
God, motherfucker. So yeah, treat yourself. And thanks, Eddie.
Put up a glass, kids. Cheers.
Bye.